right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the edition of Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. How's everyone doing today? How's it going? All that good stuff. I'm doing pretty good. Out here, happy Thanksgiving. Happy or unfortunate last day of regular firearms season in Michigan. Hopefully you bagged a buck and you ate some delicious food this week. What are we smoking? What are we drinking? Let's kick that off before we do some updates. I'll talk about the topic of our video, the Henry Clay Warhawk. Good little cigar. It was in a sampler pack, blind sampler pack I bought. Cigars Daily has these mystery sampler packs for like $32. You get 4 cigars. They used to be $26 or $25. It was $24. I preferred that price. Paying just $6 a stick. Is it still worth it now that it's more like $8 a stick? I don't know. It's okay. The good cigars. I haven't gotten any like true duds, but I like to keep my cigars around $7. So that $8 a stick on a blind stick that I've never smoked or don't know what it is, I keep toddling back and forth. I haven't bought as many of their blind samplers. It's not a bad deal. I look up the cigars. You usually get at least $32 worth, if not more. Again, I just preferred it when it was $7 a stick. So it was 28. Yeah, it's 28. Then now it's up to 32. I like that price better, but that's just me. I do try to keep all my cigar purchases right around that $7 mark with discounts, but not a bad cigar. For the beer, we are trying to finish off the Boatload series. I have been very surprised with this series. I think I've shared the first 2 beers I tried, absolutely loved. I'm not a huge fan of the IPA beers, but you know what? Their last one just shocked the world out of me. I'm really glad I have a 6-pack of that one. I still kick back and drink, so you know what? I wasn't going to do this one. Like I said, I'm not an IPA fan. But this Boatload series has yet to let me down. So here we go. Double IPA pineapple. Well, it's not the peach one where I'm jumping for joy, because usually I don't drink peach beer. It's not like the other Boatload. I'm trying to remember, was that one raspberry? Which I absolutely loved. This one I'm not getting the pineapple. The IPA, the double IPA is there. I guess I get a little bit of the pineapple. It kind of cuts down on that IPA shakes, when you drink an IPA, it just kind of makes you shiver throughout your body. Oh, sorry, cigar, tobacco. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm going to drink it. That's definitely not my favorite, but I've been pretty open and honest that I am not a huge fan of IPAs. Very interesting. But not bad. Again, I'm not going to complain about it. So anyhow, tonight, about hunting season being over, we did not bag any deer this last week of deer season. I believe our total now is 5 or 6 deer. Might actually have to go check the records and the counts. When there's, 7 of us who can hunt, I gotta check, make sure I'm not getting mixed up who got one, who didn't. We did have Swedish Compass, of course, get a double. So good for her. Nice buck too, a nice 8-point buck again. But anyway, on to the topic at hand. Disaster, surviving disaster in a marriage. What do you do when disaster strikes? Where is this coming from? I always have to talk about and think about this one. Thanksgiving, many years ago, about 5 years ago, we just moved homes. We were just getting established. First Thanksgiving, we're excited. We've got turkey, we've got stuffing, we got mashed potatoes, we've got stuff to make homemade cranberry sauce, corn, It's going to be good. Well, the day before, was it a day or 2 days before? I think it was the day before Thanksgiving. I think it started Tuesday night. A huge ice storm rolled in and knocked out all the power. In the entire county, most of the UP actually had loss of power. And yeah, we were no different. We got our power drastically knocked down, or knocked out. There were power lines down on my road. Okay, well, what are we gonna do? Luckily, as I said in videos, I'm a prepper. So I have auxiliary ways to heat my house. Funny enough, my house did actually have, or does have, a generator hookup, but we just moved. Like, literally just moved. I didn't have time to buy a Jenny yet, and the previous owners decided to take their generator with them. Thanks for that. So you feel kind of sheepish. You have the ability, to power your house, or you have the ability, but not you're able, but you're not, I don't know, whatever. It wasn't going to happen. I did end up buying a generator that weekend, but it turns out they also had some weird, wonky plug that is not standard to most generators. Shocking to no one. The guy who made this house, or lived in this house before me, bend and broke every coding rule there is. And modified and manipulated stuff. I'm fixing shit left and right. Every time I do a project, I have to rip shit out and redo it because this guy did it his way. So anyway, it's bad enough. Monday, Tuesday, no power. We were able to have some heat and whatnot. We knew we were not going to have a way to cook our turkey reliably. We have since fixed that problem, being able to cook bigger meals. Now we had propane, campfire stove, or the camp stoves. We had other ways of cooking food, but a whole turkey, that was just too large to cook on a cook stove without boiling. I suppose we could have boiled it. We had propane, we had white gas, we had sternos to use to cook stuff with. We were doing fine in that department, so it's not like the kids went hungry. But we had to go out to eat. Well, the kids, after a day of no power, they start getting a little anxious. So we had to come up with games. We played a lot of board games. We let them use their tablets until they died. That didn't take long. And then finally, on Thanksgiving, I decided, you know what, let's go big. They need something to get their minds off that, because they were starting to get a little down in the dumps. That we had to go to, I think it was Hardee's. We went to, was it Hardee's, McDonald's? I forget which restaurant. We actually had to drive quite a distance. Maybe it was a Big Boys. One of those joints, fancy fast food. So anyway, we go and had to eat fast food, which some of the kids absolutely enjoyed. They loved. They thought that was so cool, but especially the olders, they knew something was up. That something wasn't quite right. So what ended up happening was I decided to have a big D&D game. But we specifically waited until the sun had set, and we played Dungeons and Dragons by candlelight. And to this day, it is still one of my children's fondest memory, is playing Dungeons and Dragons by candlelight. Sometimes they'll mention that the power was out. Most of the time they don't. They don't remember the power being out. They remember having a really good time with mom and dad and playing games and this Dungeons and Dragons quest that took 3-4 days for them to do. That we still have a family tradition now of playing Dungeons and Dragons by candlelight for Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving weekend. Sometimes on the actual day, we're too turkey coma to want to play. So that was a horrible, horrible disaster that struck our family. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So why is that their fondest memory? I think it is because both me and homeschooling mama handled it together. When disaster strikes, it can't be on one person. You can't have the husband has to be the one when disaster strikes, he's going to take care of everything. Or the wife is going to take care of it. Or whatever, grandma and grandpa are going to take care of it. When you're married, everything gets split. All the responsibilities, everything. Your partner, your wife, your husband, they need to know how to do your jobs just as much as they need to know how to do yours, or vice versa, yours and theirs. So, your wife has to know how to maybe get the furnace, the pilot lights relit, maybe how to do simple maintenance. Husbands, you need to know how to cook, how to clean. How does the dishwasher work? The laundry machine, the washing machine, how does that work? Because when this big stuff happens, both me and homeschooling mama, it's not like we relied on the other one to get us through. We worked together in that time of disaster. Dad made a bunch of campaigns for Dungeons and Dragons. Mom had the idea of using candles and, busting in some special treats. Mom was usually the one who did a lot of the cooking, so she knew how to cook on the camp stoves. Dad also had to help with a lot of the cleaning and keeping the children's in line because, when there's no power, sometimes it's harder to monitor what's going on. Homeschooling mama had to know how to flush a toilet without water, kind of a prepper thing. I had to, look at minimal water usage ways to clean pots and pans. So it didn't all land on one of us. We both were able to have control during this disaster. And that helped us. I tell my kids, they see it as the best day ever, the best Thanksgiving they can think of. For me and homeschooling mom, it was a nightmare having to deal with that. But I think that our kids fared so well because neither of us broke down and we both supported each other. When disaster strikes, you need to put aside all other standards and norms. You need to work together and be a cohesive unit. Because disasters will strike your marriage. Maybe it won't be as bad as a power outage for 5 days. Maybe it's as simple as, what do you do if Junior comes home and he got cut from the football team? That's a disaster. And that's for mom to deal with. That's for dad to deal with. What happens when your daughter gets her first period? That can be a disaster, depending on how it happens and what happened. That can be a disaster, but that should not be mom has to deal with it, dad has to deal with it. When these little and big disasters strike, both mom and dad have to be the ones to step up and deal with it. Because even if it's not true, if it's just one person dealing with one disaster, they might feel like everything's being dumped on them. And that might not be true. It might be a straight 50-50. That's what it's going to feel like. Your partner needs to know that you have their back. That you are the one, if needed, can step in and back their move and help them out. As it used to be told in medic training when I went through it many years ago, no one ever rises to the occasion. We all fall back on our training. So don't just assume that, yes, we'll be a cohesive unit when disaster strikes. Well, unless you act as a cohesive unit before disaster, you won't once it strikes. If you don't share responsibilities, share tasks, share duties, sharing everything else in your marriage, when disaster strikes, you're going to be selfish, or your partner's going to be selfish. You will not rise to that occasion. You'll fall back on how you trained and how you practiced. But anyway, folks, I'm going to enjoy my cigar. Is it worth $8? Yeah, I guess so. It's not bad. It's pretty good. I'll say this is like an $8 cigar. Now, I will say a couple of those in this cigar pack are worth more than $8, so this was actually what I think to be the cheapest one out of all of them. I'm going to enjoy this one. I'm going to revel in the fact that we made it through Thanksgiving without a major disaster. Hopefully you all had wonderful Thanksgivings. Hopefully you tagged out and got all your venison in your freezer. And yeah. Again, stay safe out there. See you on the next one.